SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
When banking starts to feel less personal, you know where to find us. Community Bank. Deep roots, local people, personal banking. Visit communitybank.net. Member FDIC.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Hey, good morning good morning and welcome in. Make that a complete sentence there to start things off. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Today is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. We are in the middle of the week. We are in the middle of the month. And we're glad to be with you. Mornings is presented by Community Bank. You can find Community Bank online at communitybank.net. You can find Community Bank likely in your community as well. Community Bank rooted in our community. C-Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. C-Spire, customer inspired. I'm Richard Cross alongside Lance Talbert. Good morning to you. Lance, what's up, buddy?
I'm inspired this morning, man.
You
had a long day yesterday, and here you are, ready to roll at 6 a.m. to cover all of the compelling items of the day. How you feeling today, man? I know you had a nice little trip down south yesterday to do a little sightseeing and learning.
Yeah. The grand opening, the ribbon cutting yesterday for Choctaw Central Middle School and High School. And it is spectacular. So incredibly well done. And it's about a $150 million project. They've got kind of a standalone basketball arena / sports complex. Big, nice weight room up on the second floor of that, overlooking the basketball before locker rooms for the boys and girls middle school teams and high school teams. Big, nice film room down in the lower level as well. There is a brand new football stadium with turf and LED lights, putting the finishing touches on that. Scoreboard's up, but I was looking around, I was like, there's a press box that's missing on top of those stands over there, but you could see where that was coming in. What they're calling a C-Tech building, which is career technical training. And, man, state of the art in terms of teaching skills and getting people ready for careers. All the classrooms, wired to the hilt. Just really, really well done. And nice ceremony yesterday. The chief spoke. The Choctaw Princess spoke and was kind of the master of ceremonies. She was just as lovely as could be. They had the governor of Gila River, which is Arizona, and I won't say that that's a sister tribe to the Choctaws, but they are very much part of that American Indian community. And their governor came in and spoke and was congratulatory and talked about some of the business side of the way that Choctaw Central went about doing this, that the Choctaw Indians went about building the new school and the kind of some of the programs that were used for that. Billy Kirkland was there, the undersecretary for President Trump's administration. It was just really good, and several hundred people from the community for the grand opening. Really, really well done.
It looks like one heck of a facility too, man. I mean, great layout, some sports stuff. You know,
man, it's
some sports stuff everywhere.
It's as nice a high school gym as I've seen. Seats 1,800.
Man,
it's big.
Pack it out, win some championships.
They will have a great opportunity to do that. And the weather cooperated for the most part. Rained a little bit, and they moved the ribbon cutting inside instead of having it outside. But man, it's kind of popping up and raining all over the place.
Sneak attacks
in Mississippi right now.
A little sneak attack here and there. That's big. All of them have been lately. You could be 2 miles down the road and it's not raining, but
not a drop.
You're over here, it's absolutely pouring.
Yeah.
And then it's 10 minutes later, it's gone.
Yeah, the radar looks like a moving splatter painting.
Yeah.
Ripley, 86 degrees for the high today for you. Showers likely, possibly a thunderstorm. Partly sunny, chance of precipitation about 60%. Light winds, rainfall, just a little bit. What about lovely Drew, Mississippi? 85 degrees today, chance of showers and thunderstorms early, then just showers in the afternoon, becoming sunny as the day goes along, maybe. That 60% chance of precipitations, light winds, and minor rainfall expected, unless you get one of those stronger thunderstorms that pops up, and then, boom, your minor rain might turn into major rain. 88 for you today in Meridian with patchy fog early, then a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. 90 degrees for you today in Biloxi, mostly sunny with a low chance of precipitation. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Typical warm, humid summer day in Biloxi. Good day to get outside. C-Spire text line 601-879-4395. JB says, I'm happy for them. When I was a kid in the 70s, it's almost like a third world country there. Thinking about in the Philadelphia area, Choctaw, Mississippi. I have 0 point of reference, JB. I will not disagree with you, but I will tell you it's not like that by any stretch of the imagination today. And they're continuing to work. One of the things that Chief Ben talked with us about is, holding on to the culture and the history of the Choctaw people, which becomes more and more difficult to do as you move forward. But they're modernizing at the same time. He was really passionate about this school project. And it was interesting hearing some of the people speak yesterday, and there was some emotion, even with some of the memories in the old high school, the old facilities. They were welcoming this new one with open arms because it was, I don't want to go so far, JB, as you saying that it was like going from a third world country to a state-of-the-art school, but it was going from a school that was in great need of a whole lot of repair and a whole lot of updating into a brand new state-of-the-art high school and middle school, and everybody's excited about it. And proud of it, too, and they should be. They really should be. Rembrandt was born on this day, July 15th, 1606, the master Dutch Golden Age painter and etcher, renowned for masterpieces like The Night Watch, with profound self-portraits that captured human emotion and light. Lance, you a big Rembrandt guy?
Oh, I mean, it's just it's absolutely beautiful work. Yeah, I mean, I cannot, imagine sitting down and creating something so perfect. So, yeah, I'm much more of an impressionist because you can kind of, not as far as my skills, I have zero, but what I kind of migrate to, extreme realism to me is just, it's like a picture, I really enjoy the kind of impressionist style. and the Rococo and that kind of stuff, a little bit quicker and a more of an impression of what you saw rather than the perfection of it.
Yeah.
But no, amazing artist. I can't. I just blows my mind when I see work like Rembrandt and Vermeer and all those experts.
Yeah, you look at it and you almost go, was that?
Yeah.
Is that a photograph?
Yeah, how did he
or
do
is that
that?
a painting?
How did he do that in 1600?
Yeah. Emmeline Pankhurst, a prominent British suffragette and political activist who founded the Women's Social and Political Union, leading militant campaigns for women's voting rights. Born in 1858, Linda Ronstadt, born in 1946, a legendary singer known for her versatile career spanning rock, pop, country, and even a little Latin music. Multiple Grammy winner with hits like You're No Good. Forrest Whitaker, the Academy Award-winning actor and director known for roles in The Last King of Scotland, Bird, Black Panther, and so many others. Back with you right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Well, I'm gonna raise a fuss, I'm gonna raise a holler about working all summer just to try and earn a dollar. Every time I call my baby to try to get a date, my boss says no dice, son, you gotta work late. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, cause there ain't no cure for the summertime.
Welcome back. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Gabrielle Iglesias, born on this day in 1976, the stand-up comedian and actor known as Fluffy. Brian Austin Green, born in 1973, played the role of David Silver on Beverly Hills 90210.
He always seemed like the one guy that kind of didn't fit in the group, He was kind of different out of all those.
Yeah. What, he and Donna were... Didn't David and Donna end up as, like, stepbrother and sister or something?
There was something strange with all of it. Yeah, I can't remember the storyline. I just remember him seeming a little different than the group. He had just a whole different kind of appeal to him.
Yeah.
But I watched the heck out of that stuff back in the day, like Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 90210. I'm not ashamed to admit that.
Brandon and Brenda, and then Kelly and Donna and Steve and David, right?
I think, yeah. I probably
that was the main crew. And then, and then the curly-headed girl that Brandon went to school with, the journalism girl.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. It was a cast, though. I mean, that was one heck of a cast. I was a huge Saved by the Bell fan, though. I have to admit that.
Yeah.
I love Saved by the Bell.
No doubt. Taylor Kinney, born in 1981, the actor recognized for Chicago Fire and his previous relationship with Lady Gaga, which is exactly what everybody wants in their bio. Wait, who is this person? Oh, he used to date this person. Oh, okay.
That's how they're famous.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm famous because I know Richard Cross, so,
It is the
that's in my bio.
Yeah, it's the sure. I hear you. 1806, this day in history, Pike expedition begins. U.S. Army officer Zebulon Pike departed from St. Louis on an expedition to explore the American Southwest. He was commissioned to find the headwaters of the Arkansas and the Red Rivers and to gather intelligence on Spanish territories in New Mexico. The journey produced valuable maps and observations of the Great Plains and the Rocky Mountains.
I mean, when you pick a guy named Zebulon, the job's going to get done.
Hey Z, we need some maps. We need to know where these rivers start.
So who do we got ready to go? We got this guy named Zebulon over here. Yeah, let's pick him.
Think about this for a second. Okay, we know there's stuff out there. Mm-hmm. We need information on it, but nobody's ever seen it.
Yeah.
Hey Z, we need you to lead and his job is to go explore the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah. I mean,
so Great Plains and Rocky Mountains. So he starts in St. Louis and heads west. How many times did he consider giving up, going, man, this goes on forever, Kansas?
Kansas. You see these mountains way off in the distance. It's like a mirage. Just keep going. That's before they had planted all the corn, too, so. Just fields and
prairie.
Just prairie as far as you can see. And then you get to the Rockies, and you're like, where's the road?
Yeah. In 1909, the first transcontinental automobile race concluded. Around this time, early auto endurance events highlighted the growing popularity of automobiles in America. 1945, you had the liberation of Guam. U.S. forces continued operations in the Pacific Theater. Related campaigns advanced the push toward Japan.
And Guam has not flipped over and sunk yet either. That's good.
Was there concern about that happening?
Yeah, remember one of the congressmen said, Guam's going to just, if we put too many more people on it, it's just going to turn over.
Yeah. Well, they keep them dispersed.
That's
they
right.
all went to one side of the island.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
it's
like riding in a boat.
1955 was the day that Disneyland opened, Walt Disney's first theme park in Anaheim, California. It became a global cultural icon and revolutionized the entertainment industry. Been to Disney World, never been to Disneyland.
Yeah, I've been by Disneyland. I've never gone into the West Coast version, but did see it. The one in Florida looks much more impressive to me.
This is bigger.
Much bigger, yeah. Huge.
Way more spread out. Disneyland's fairly compact.
It is. I mean, it's very tight.
Yeah. 1997, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published. It was J.K. Rowling's first book and launched a global phenomenon and a 10-figure fortune for the author. 97, too. That seems so far back. I mean, how many of those went out? The Harry Potter. It was like 8, 7, something like that. They were busy. I mean, they punched out some big-time hits. Yeah. There's a bunch, right? It's either 6 or 7 books. My youngest is working her way through them right now. All the books? Yeah. Has she done the movies yet, or is this like... She's doing book first. Book first, right. That's a good way to do it. Yeah. Once she finishes a book, then she can do the movie. Apparently it gets a little darker once you get into the last couple of books, and so we've kind of slow play. I mean, she raced through the first 4 books. It was pretty impressive. I mean, it was like every waking hour that she wasn't in school or doing something, she was reading. Walking around bumping into everything. Yeah, which is better than doing that with a phone or an iPad, but anyway. John Kerry, on this day in 2003, announced his presidential candidacy. The United States senator entered the race that would lead to the 2004 election. 2006, Italy over France in the final of the World Cup. After a dramatic match that included the headbutt from Zinedine Zidane. I think that's right. Zinedine Zidane was his name. So he just planted his head in the chest of the player. I mean, they sold the heck out of it, too. That was in 2006. 2011, the debt ceiling crisis came to its peak. Political negotiations over raising the federal debt limit dominated the headlines in 2011.
And it's
15 years later.
Yeah. And let's fast forward.
Man, you thought they thought the debt ceiling was too high. You ought to see where we are now.
One interesting little thing that happened in history on this day is kind of obscure, but very kind of cool if you want to go read about it. It's the war over Toledo. In 1835, one of the weirdest little wars of all time happened, and it was very hyper-local, known as the Toledo War. Mm-hmm. Congress had actually made a mistake. It used inaccurate maps to determine the border between Ohio and Michigan. The border was supposed to be simple and straight, but they messed up, and the maps were off. So the map maker drew Lake Michigan too far north, so it created this strip of land called the Toledo Strip. So both Michigan and Ohio, they fought for this for a while, and finally it got settled. But it was very hyper-local with a bunch of duels.
Who won?
I'm trying to, the story focused on the bloodshed and not the ink necessarily, but Michigan's 1835 bid for statehood highlighted the tensions, and Michigan ended up getting the Upper Peninsula, and everything worked out as you see today. So it wasn't really a win per se. It was just years of little hyper-local conflicts that sprung up, and little battles, duels, and all kind of stuff. It's a pretty interesting story, though. That you don't see a lot of these little bitty territorial disputes between states happen, but yeah, in this day, July 15, 1835. Michigan Sheriff Joseph Wood was on a rampage, and that's kind of what started everything.
Yeah,
interesting times in the pioneering spirit of America out there in the frontier. Can you imagine living out on the frontier?
What a time it must have been.
Yeah, crazy. Law was. We think about laws today. I mean, it was kind of vendettas and vigilance, and
it was
groups.
Wild West.
Wild West.
And the West was wherever the western edge of the frontier was, and it took a while to get all the way to California. But, man, what a time.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody actually – there's no bloodshed other than somebody getting grazed by a bullet here or there, somebody kind of getting stabbed, but no fatalities. But it was one of those little things that just happened.
Just a lot of street brawls.
Oh, yeah, a lot of street brawls.
We got news headlines coming up on the other side of this break. We'll get to your morning sports update presented by Pearl River Resort in just a bit as well. We'll wrap the first hour up with a peek at the Mississippi Lottery results. Former Mississippi Congressman Gregg Harper will join us in the 7 o'clock hour today. Always enjoy our conversations with the Congressman. And musician Marty Stuart in the 8 o'clock hour. Marty still performing, still putting them out. Looking forward to that. Glad to be with you on MRC.
From the Sea. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Welcome to the show.
Overhead sound of town, no local yokel gonna shut me down. It's me and my boys got this rig unwound, and we'll come 1,000 miles from a guitar town.
All right, let's get into your news headlines this morning. No new developments to speak of in the investigation into the death of Nolan Wells, but some news related to this. A day after the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center approved plans for the region's largest facility to host services for Nolan Wells, Coliseum officials yesterday said that the funeral will no longer be held there. Sam Voisin, executive director of the Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, said in a statement to our SuperTalk Mississippi news team that the Wells family decided against holding services at the facility. On behalf of the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, we extend our deepest condolences to the family, friends, and all of those mourning the loss of Nolan. After meeting with representatives of their family, we support their decision not to hold funeral services at the Coast Coliseum and Convention Center, as previously discussed. Pretty straightforward statement there. It was not immediately clear what prompted the family's decision, and no updated funeral arrangements have been announced at this time. Some have suggested security concerns could be the reason for the change of plans, given the amount of online vitriolic rhetoric surrounding Wells' passing. Law enforcement veteran Joseph Daughtry, the police chief credited with helping curb homicides in Columbus and recently a finalist to lead Mississippi's largest police department in Jackson, has accepted another top cop job. But in a place much smaller than Jackson, the Yazoo City Board of Aldermen voted unanimously Monday night to hire Daughtry and give him an annual salary of $95,000. Prior to the vote, Mayor Macklin Austin and members had discussions about how the decision could be a turning point for the Delta City of about 10,000 people that has struggled to hold a sufficient number of officers. You may remember back in December of last year, the board voted to declare a state of emergency due to a shortage of police officers. The measure noted that the city was operating under conditions of extreme peril and that policing duties would be absorbed by the Yazoo County Sheriff's Office until the officer shortage could be addressed. Daughtry is expected to be sworn in at the next board meeting on July 27th. He will be the 11th police chief in the last 12 years in Yazoo City. Crime, according to Sheriff Jeremy McCoy in Yazoo County, is at an all-time high in Yazoo City. Columbus was caught by surprise. City leaders apparently had no idea that Daughtry was still looking to leave after narrowly missing out on becoming the police chief in Jackson. He was one of 4 finalists for the job that ultimately went to Dr. Rashal Brackney. A Biloxi man has been sentenced to 8 decades in prison after pleading guilty to sexually abusing a child and possessing child sexual abuse material. Aaron Matthew Costa, 42 years old, pleaded guilty yesterday to 1 count of sexual battery and 1 count of child exploitation. Circuit Court Judge Christopher Schmidt accepted the plea and sentenced Costa to 80 years in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. Because of the nature of the offenses, he is not eligible for parole or any early release. Assistant District Attorney Ian Baker said the investigation began in August of 2024 after a 9-year-old girl reported that she had been sexually abused by Costa, her mother's boyfriend, over a period of about 2 years. According to prosecutors, the child disclosed during a forensic interview at the Child Advocacy Center in Gulfport that Costa had repeatedly sexually abused her beginning when she was 7. The child also reported that Costa had told her not to tell anyone because it would destroy their family. Following the interview with the victim, the Biloxi Police Department executed a search warrant at the family's home. Costa was at the residence during the search and was found in possession of a cell phone, which was confiscated. They went through a forensic exam of the cell phone and uncovered numerous photos and videos depicting the sexual abuse of children that had been downloaded and stored on the phone, a thumb drive, and a Tumblr account. Court also heard that another alleged victim came forward during the investigation. Prosecutors said that she would have testified that Costa sexually abused her between the ages of 6 and 10. So this left me wondering about the new law that allows the death penalty for sexual abuse for children under 12. And Lance, I don't know the answer to this because this feels like the perfect opportunity to use that new penalty structure. I'm wondering if it's because the crimes happened before the law went into effect or the trial happened before the law went into effect, that maybe that was not on the table here.
Yeah, 80 years, though. I mean...
yeah, he's 42.
Yeah. You would wish there was like some island, you know, you could just plug all these folks that can't seem to get right. Man,
an island that's about 6 feet under the face of the earth with very little oxygen.
Yeah, called Antarctica. You know, you just go drop them off there.
I was thinking called a grave.
Yeah. Well, if we can't get to that, let's go to the next best thing and just, I mean, it's disgusting. It is.
Just horrific. Although prison is not always the best place for a person like that.
No.
Not the safest, anyway. Aluminum Dynamics once announced the largest economic development commitment in the state of Mississippi back in 2023 when it revealed its plans for a $2.5 billion facility in the Golden Triangle. That commitment has grown by another $200 million. Governor Tate Reeves announced Tuesday that Aluminum Dynamics is planning to create 100 new jobs with this latest investment. The company is developing the facility in the Golden Triangle Industrial Park in Lowndes County. It's going to serve to create aluminum slabs from recycled scrap. According to new Link President and CEO Merrill Fisackerly, Aluminum Dynamics' planned investment in the Golden Triangle is another example of what's possible when you have a strong workforce, solid infrastructure, and partners who are committed to long-term success. The project creates new opportunities for our communities, and we appreciate Aluminum Dynamics' confidence in the Golden Triangle. Man, that part of the state of Mississippi just continues to grow and grow and grow on the economic development front. Good stuff there. Time for your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort is your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Check them out online, pearlriverresort.com. Southern Miss's Media Days appearance for the Sun Belt will happen tomorrow, but the coaches have voted on their expected order of finish in the league. Golden Eagles picked 5th in the West Division of the Sun Belt Conference, according to the league's 14 head coaches. There were no preseason first or second team all Sun Belt selections for the Golden Eagles, partly because it's going to feel like all new. 1 starter returning on offense, 3 on special teams. A lot of unknowns for this Southern Miss team. Charles Huff made the sudden departure to Memphis a year ago. 75 new players on the roster for Southern Miss this year. That's a lot of new faces. Blake Anderson was given the task of rebuilding a relatively depleted roster, one that lost its star quarterback Braylon Braxton and standout defensive back Josh Moten to the pros. Litany of other players heading to the transfer portal. First-year Golden Eagle frontman worked the portal himself, though, and added some key pieces. Will Smith from North Texas, quarterback Ethan Hampton from Illinois, and defensive tackle Jeffrey Rush came in from Ole Miss. Season opener for Southern Miss is on Saturday, September 5th, 4 o'clock kickoff against Alcorn State. They'll start conference play 1 month later against Troy. Troy, the team that was picked to win the West in the Sun Belt. Had the All-Star game last night in Major League Baseball. And the American League won it 4-0. 4 runs, 7 hits for the American League. First time in 13 years that the American League has shut out the National League. Second half, of the baseball season begins on Thursday. Had the Major League Baseball draft last week. Rock Chalowski from UCLA got a record bonus from the White Sox. Signs a $10.35 million contract. That's the signing bonus. He was the number 1 pick in the draft. His bonus tops the previous mark of $9.25 million that went to Reds pitcher Chase Burns and Rockies prospect Charlie Condon, 2 of the top 3 selections from the 2024 draft. He's a 6-foot, 2-inch shortstop that hit .320 with 21 home runs and 60 runs batted in this past year for UCLA. That's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We're back with you right after this.
Take my pain away.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
update from the Mississippi Lottery, brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery, online at mslottery.com. Be sure to download the Mississippi Lottery app on your smartphone. It is free and it is easy. You can find that wherever you get apps for your phone. There was no Mega Millions winner last night in the most recent drawing for a prize that continues to grow. It's up to $672 million. The estimated cash value for Friday night's drawing, $293,300,000. Big number. Last night's drawing of the ping pong balls yielded 2, 4, 10, 48, and 56. The mega ball was 22. Got a big Powerball drawing tonight as well. $498 million up for grabs with an estimated cash value of $221 million. So both of those have gotten big. Winners from some different spots across the state of Mississippi. A Columbus woman won a little over $6,300 on a pair of tickets from Energy Stop and Texaco Jumbos in Columbus. That was on a cash 4. You had players from Pass Christian and Flora each winning $1,000 on tickets from Ming Chevron and Pass Christian and M&K Food Mart in Flora. Those were on $30 Millionaire Maker tickets. You can buy your tickets at your local Mississippi Lottery retailer. Chance to win big money. That's your update from the Mississippi Lottery, online at mslottery.com. World Cup rolling on. Yesterday you had semifinal number 1, and it was Spain winning 2-0 over France. Goals in the 22nd minute and the 58th minute, so a relatively early goal and then an early second-half goal, and Spain was able to keep France at arm's distance throughout the match to get the win. This afternoon in Atlanta, England and Argentina. It's on Fox. The winners will meet for the World Cup final. The losers will play in the consolation game. World Cup, about the only major sports tournament that still has a consolation. I guess that's good. Do you remember when the NCAA men's basketball tournament had that? You'd have the teams that made it to the Final Four, and the winners would play for the national championship. Before that, though, you had the consolation game, which, I guess
I don't really remember all that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm in on the consolation game, quite frankly.
We're going to play for third place.
Yeah, no, I'm not in on that. Got to in it to win it, right?
That's right. So England and Argentina this afternoon. Stars in that one. Lionel Messi leading the way for the Argentinian side, and Harry Kane leading the way for England.
It's going to be a battle there.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be quite the scene at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta this afternoon. I guess work optional on a Wednesday afternoon for that one. Glad to be with you this morning. Got a lot to get to for the rest of the show, including some news that I think probably not to lawmakers themselves, but seemingly came out of nowhere yesterday from Governor Tate Reeves. We will get into that to start things off in the 7 o'clock hour. And then Gregg Harper will join us, the former congressman that represented the 3rd District in Mississippi will join us. Always appreciate the time and enjoy the insight from Gregg Harper. Looking forward to that coming up in just a little while. And things really appear to be ramping back up in the Middle East. The launch of strikes continued on Iran yesterday by the United States, and the threats appear to be getting stronger and stronger from the United States against Iran. Strait of Hormuz, for all practical purposes, right now is closed. The United States was talking about a fee. The blockade is back in place. Pretty serious bombing attacks that have gone on in the last couple of days, and just a mess.
Iran's throwing it off like a sprinkler system, man. They just slinging stuff everywhere.
Yeah. But not at Israel directly. It's been at other Gulf states so far.
It's almost like they like to try to pick on the ones that really can't do much in return.
Yeah. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Don't forget about the One plan from C Spire. That's all your wireless and all your fiber-to-the-home internet for just $99 a month with a 5-year price lock guarantee. 7 o'clock hour on the way. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday morning, July 15th. It's MRC.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Moonlight, you're just a heartache in disguise. You want to keep my heart from breaking if it's only for a very short time. Playing with the queen of hearts, knowing it ain't really smart. The joker ain't the only fool who'll do anything for you. Laying at another night, thinking about a life of crime.
7 o'clock hour, this is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Appreciate you joining us in the middle of the week. Today is July 15th, 2026, and we're glad to have you along for the ride. MRC is brought to you by Community Bank. Ever notice how some places still know your name? At Community Bank, that's how banking works. We're a bank that knows community because we live here. And when you walk in, you're more than an account number. No matter what your banking needs are, here you will talk to real people who care about your goals. Community Bank, a local bank built on relationships. Stop by your neighborhood location or learn more at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. And that's where MWG Employer Services comes in. It's where they can help. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. If you are a legislator in Mississippi and you had plans for today, probably need to cancel them because you now have different plans. Yesterday, Governor Tate Reeves made the announcement that there would be a special session today, gave them about 24 hours notice to deal with the state's youth courts. The special session is necessitated by the June 30th expiration of statutes relating to the disclosure of youth records and multiple lawsuits regarding the same, the governor said. State funding was appropriated to Mississippi's youth court system during this year's legislative session, but inaction on a separate extension bill for the youth court program left dispersal of that funding in limbo. So now we're a couple of weeks into July. The funding cannot be sent out because there was no bill that was put in place. The timing was, it was interesting. The House of Representatives adjourned. Sine died. While Senator Bryce Wiggins on the other side of the Capitol was on the floor introducing Senate Bill 2728. Passing the bill was necessary to extend the youth court program that allows the Administrative Office of Courts to send out $2.5 million in state funding to youth courts. It appears as if there is work that has been done behind the scenes and that today may be probably unfair to say a rubber stamp, but that the House and the Senate have agreed the direction they are going to go, and they may not have to be there all that long. They will gavel in at 3 o'clock this afternoon in the Capitol, and there is not expected to be an extra day that is necessary for this special session. So according to the governor, the agreed-upon solution, as proposed and agreed upon by leadership in the House and the Senate, sets up what the governor calls a far better system for both kids who are abused and neglected, as well as those children facing delinquency proceedings. The governor went on to say for the first time, children and families will have access to full-time judges and move us toward a uniform youth court system statewide. Reeves is hopeful and optimistic that Republicans and Democrats alike will vote for this common sense legislation that will help children and families all across Mississippi. It's not always the case that the governor, in the same breath, says thank you to the House and the Senate, but he did just that yesterday. He specifically thanked Speaker of the House Jason White, along with State Representative Kevin Horan, and Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, along with Senators Rice Wiggins and Briggs Hobson, for their work in getting to the proposed solution that will be unveiled fully when members gavel in today. Scott in Raleigh with a question that always comes up when a special session is called. So how much will this special session cost the taxpayers? If it is indeed only a single-day special session, the cost will be minimal. They will have per diem and travel expenses for the legislature coming in and going back home to Jackson. I guess there probably are some administrative costs that go along with that with staff in the Capitol. But, well, I guess both sides will be able to be in the Capitol. Wasn't there a great deal of debate about where the House was going to hold its part of a special session if it had been called earlier in the year?
I remember something.
It was the old Capitol that they were going to have to use because of renovations that were... Anyway, that's beside the point.
They'll figure it out, huh? What you're saying.
I would think so. So it sounds like this is going to be in and out for the legislators, that leadership on both sides has agreed to a youth court deal that they think makes sense. And you remember, this is something that was talked about. It didn't get nearly the amount of attention or headline as some of the other things that happened during the legislature. But we had a number of legislators that talked to us about the importance of getting the youth court system right. That's the particular judicial arena where you have referees and part-time judges, and they're being a little more intentional in the way that this is put together going forward. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you up to date with what the legislature ultimately is able to pull off. C-Spire text line, somebody said nearly $80,000 for the special session, or around 2 teacher salaries for a year. I understand the frustration that goes along with the legislators have to come back in for a special session. I really do. And in a perfect world, you say, hey, you're there for 3 months, 4 months following an election year, when a new legislature comes in, get the work done then. But there also is a cost of doing business that goes along with the legislature. And there are things that pop up from time to time that need to be handled in a more timely manner, where you don't wait for another 6 months to deal with a particular issue. And yes, I understand that $80,000 is a lot of money, and I recognize that in your equivalency, it's in the neighborhood of a couple of teacher salaries. But you've also got some administrative costs for the state government that are built into your budget, and this is not keeping $80,000 out of teacher pay raises or keeping some school district from being able to hire a teacher or two. That's not how this works. I don't think that the cost of one day of a special session is something that we need to be super up in arms about. Yes, you want to be fiscally responsible, but I would argue that this governor and this legislature have been pretty fiscally responsible and have done right by the taxpayers for the most part. I have no problem with a special session for economic development, but not for things that should have been done during the session. That's reasonable. I'm good with my tax dollars going toward youth courts. That's our future in Mississippi, and if we can get a grip on the court system, I'm all for it. Yeah, there are a lot of people that have either dealt intimately or on the edges with the youth court system in Mississippi that say, hey, we got to fix this. There are dollars that need to be allocated there. You need full-time judges. This system needs reform. And hopefully today's special session, this afternoon's special session, will get those reforms in place and we'll put the youth court system on a track that it needs to be on moving forward. Former Congressman Gregg Harper will join us next. We will touch on a bunch of topics with him as we roll on with you on Mornings with Richard Cross on this Wednesday morning, July 15th. More coming up with you right after the break.
Say careless how I feel. But how many of you that's sitting just me ever walk the streets of Bakersfield?
Good morning from
Your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I'm no stranger to the rain. I can spot bad weather, and I'm good at finding shelter in a down.
C Spire text line is always open to you. The one plan from C Spire is here. Fiber home internet and wireless, only $99 a month for new and current C Spire customers. One plan, one price, one experience, zero compromise. You can save over $700 a year with 3 phone lines from C Spire compared to AT&T. Plus, with 5-year price lock, you pay one rate with no surprises. That's guaranteed. So don't wait. Get the one plan today. Visit your local C Spire store or shop online now at cspire.com/oneplan. C Spire, customer inspired. Glad to be with you this morning and glad to welcome in former Mississippi Congressman. Spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. representing the 3rd District. Gregg Harper joins us this morning. Mr. Congressman, good morning. Always a pleasure.
Hey, Richard. So glad to be with you today. Hope you're doing well, and always a pleasure to listen in. This time get to actually be on, so I'm going to soak in all your wisdom you have this morning.
Well, I'm hoping that you can impart some along the way, and let's start halfway around the world with what is going on in Iran. That tenuous peace agreement was in place. There was a 60-day window. We made it about halfway through that before the missiles really started flying again. This spot that the United States is in, where nobody really has the appetite for a full-scale war, and yet it doesn't appear as if there is an easy exit ramp for the United States. We know that Iran is a problem. We know that they're wreaking havoc in the Middle East, and we know that people don't necessarily want to be in this war. What is the solution?
The reason we have so much pushback here is because we're feeling a little bit of pain ourselves. With the gas prices go up at the pump. That's a real thing for people, and it's painful when all of a sudden you're spending another $100 a month more than what you were, and that's real money. And then things ease up a little bit, as you saw, Richard. It started going down, and now we're going to ramp back up. But yeah, Iran's certainly not going to be our friend. You can't trust them. I mean, you might as well be dealing with the communist Chinese government. There are just certain entities that you're not going to be able to take them at their word. And plus, who are we dealing with? I mean, everybody that we were dealing with is no longer in that position. And so, and you really, if you're there, who would want a promotion in Iran right now if you had some authority? Because it would be a short deal. But look, they have been behind so much evil in our world. We've just got to have the will to see this through, whatever that solution is. But we just can't back off, give them a chance to reload and come back. You would think we've got to be on top of how to be better on defense on drones and these drone attacks, because as you know, they hit 7 or 8 ships that have been disabled trying to go through.
Yeah.
It's us. We're the only ones that can manage this, and certainly I'm very thankful we've got a president who's strong enough to do something rather than the previous one who would just said, please don't do that, and they'll continue on. So we've got to address it. You can never let them have nuclear weapons. I think you'll see a weakness in their proxies, which we are seeing. So, I'll just say thank you, Mr. President, and stay on the task.
What about the relationship with Israel? There are so many critics of that relationship. I think people that are a little more pragmatic see the value in a relationship, a strong relationship with Israel as one of our most important allies. But even with the president, it felt like in the early days of the ceasefire agreement, there was some frustration with Netanyahu and the leadership there for them not kind of standing down and allowing the peace deal to have a chance. Is that relationship tenuous, or is it as strong as it's ever been?
I will say from Trump's standpoint, I know he was very upset that they went ahead with some actions that he thought was detrimental to the potential or tenuous agreement, as you said. But no, the relationship, I believe, is still very strong. Trump and Netanyahu, no doubt, have a great respect and I think admiration for one another. Now, I will say this. When I started in Congress in 2009, the two countries that were probably the most respected across the House and the Senate and Republicans and Democrats Israel would have been number one. Probably Taiwan would have been pretty close behind that. Look, some of the crazy stuff going on the Democratic side, and they call themselves progressives because it sounds better than crazies. But it's, Israel does not have the level of support in Congress that it did even 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. And it's, I think, lessening, in what's going on. I would, if I had to say what country has the most bipartisan bicameral support today, it's probably Taiwan. Israel is still very strong. So don't get me wrong. They are strong, but the Democratic side, their support is definitely dropped. And those that are in their primaries, as you know, the protesters, good night. And I'm one who believes that America has been blessed because we've always held close with Israel, and I think that's important that we continue that.
So what is the line? We have a label for everything. There's a negative label based on what you believe, but if you are cautious about the relationship with Israel, you are almost automatically labeled an anti-Semite. If you are pro a strong working relationship with Israel, you are labeled a Zionist. If you think that a two-state agreement should be in place and, Israel should have a place and the Palestinians should have a place, now you're waffling one way or the other, and that means you're pro-Hamas and pro-genocide. What is the line? What is the balance that congressional leaders should have when looking at the relationship that exists with Israel and how it kind of interacts with Palestine?
Well, look, the relationship is we need to remain very close with Israel. And I think that's just got to be a given. It's got to be understood. The world is much safer if Israel is there and strong. And look, the advice that we get from around the world, you've got to look at who's giving that. So, how's a two-state solution work? Israel learned a long time ago, you cannot trade land for peace. It never works. But what you've seen because of Iran and what they've done is there's been kind of a better relationship, I think, between Israel and the other countries in the Middle East because they need to defend themselves together against the evils that Iran has. So I'm still, look, we need to hold Israel close, and that means being there for them. Look, there also a sidebar on that is we've seen lots of churches over the last number of years that have canceled planned trips. That really hurts Israel's economy if you don't have a strong, robust level of tourism. And having been to Israel twice, I can tell you there's just something special. And I would tell listeners, if you have an opportunity to go. It's certainly an unbelievable experience, and it's hard to describe until you're there. It's definitely really special, and I think that we look at what's going on right now, the Democratic Party nationally. Whether it's Mondami and his impact now, of course we could talk for 30 minutes about the state of Maine and the Senate race there with Plattner and all of that, and now they basically just scrubbed him up a little bit and substituted a new guy in. But those folks are not there because they're voters in their primaries, and they're ones that are going to go out are definitely seem to be anti-Israel, and that's just not good for the country. Theirs or ours.
Only a minute until the break, then we'll continue the conversation on the other side. I don't think you and I have ever had a conversation where you did not reference, in not so glowing terms, communist China. As China watches what is going on with Iran, with the Strait of Hormuz, obviously the free passage of oil and gas is incredibly important to the Chinese economy. What do you get the sense that their feeling is as they sit and watch this unfold?
Well, they obviously have some immediate energy concerns, things that they rely on. So they have the luxury probably to sit back a little bit, but they're probably also looking at, okay, let's assume we can't ever really have full passage here. We may need to look at some other options for us in the future.
It's going to be interesting to see how this continues to play out. We'll continue the conversation with Congressman Gregg Harper on the other side of this break. Did he have any interaction with Lindsey Graham? Any stories there that we might pass along as the late senator passed away earlier this week? And we might talk a little bit more about this idea of socialism/communism and its growing impact in the United States. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good morning, everybody. Time to wake up.
Time to shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Smoky Mountain rain keeps on falling.
Welcome back. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Former U.S. Congressman Gregg Harper is my guest. He represented Mississippi's 3rd District in his time in Washington. I don't know how closely you followed this story. Representative Ro Khanna from California decided that he was going to embark on a trip to Israel and reportedly did so without notifying the U.S. Embassy in Israel. There's some back and forth between he and Mike Huckabee about when some sort of notification was allowed. There are a lot of people that say this was a publicity stunt for Ro Khanna. They were looking for a gotcha moment with the Israelis. He is not pro-Israel. As someone who has served in the House of Representatives, has served in Congress, has made international trips, what is the protocol here? Is it okay for a congressman to go Lone Ranger and make an international trip to a pseudo-war zone without giving proper notice?
Well, now, if you're on a vacation, I guess you could go do what you're doing. But if you're going in any official capacity, there is protocol to follow. And usually someone is, I won't say advancing that trip, but it's, the left hand is talking to the right hand. They know you're coming. Your people here in the country know. And so everything's sort of prepared, laid out. There's an agenda. And those would be things that you would absolutely expect to do. But he meant nothing good by making this trip. I agree. He was looking for the gotcha moment. I'm never impressed when I see that kind of behavior or stunt. And so, yeah, it is people that are already set on their opinion. But I'll go back to this: we better stick close to Israel. There are things, and I'm not going to pull my Bible out to discuss lots of reasons why we need to remain close to them. But it's the right thing to do. Nobody else is fighting for that freedom that you need to see that beacon in the Middle East, and they're still there. And I still think their future is strong. We need to stay close and not listen to the naysayers, and certainly don't give in to folks that don't have a lot of sense.
I know when you're in Washington as a congressman in the House of Representatives, you're not necessarily interacting with senators on a daily basis, but relationships do exist. Did you have a relationship with the late Senator Lindsey Graham?
No, not really. I mean, I certainly was in the room with him a number of times and just very brief, exchanges. But he was just, he's somebody you just kind of admired and maybe put up on a pedestal. And he was in the middle of everything. And, who can forget his defense of Brett Kavanaugh during the hearings? I mean, I heard that clip again yesterday. And it was like, oh, man, forgotten some of the intensity of what he had. And, he was a close friend of Israel and somebody who was in that. And internationally, he was remarkable. And he was, we forget sometimes that he and Trump, he did try to run for president in 2016. And so there was some, if you go back and look at some of the comments that he and Trump made, at each other, you had that typical pattern. But Trump and Lindsey Graham were incredibly close, great ally of the president, and a real patriot in our country. And keep in mind, he was part of the class that was elected in 1994 to the House in the Republican Revolution with Newt Gingrich. And we now, of all those that came in, there's now only one left serving in the House or Senate, and that's our own Roger Wicker in the Senate. They were part of that class that came in together, and you had people like J.C. Watts and Steve Largent, NFL Hall of Fame. Yeah. That's why during that stretch, I think for about 12 or 13 years, the Republicans always won the congressional baseball game. So they were loaded with a bunch of really good, and of course, my predecessor, Chip Pickering, was part of that, not that class, but part of that baseball team. They could have beaten a lot of folks.
Gregg, I'm curious your perspective on the idea of term limits. It seems like it's a conversation that comes and goes when you talk about representation in Washington, D.C. And there are those that argue, look, institutional knowledge matters so very much, and continuity matters with committee assignments and leadership of committees, leadership in the House, leadership in the Senate. But there are others that say there are just too many temptations. There's too much opportunity for growing massive wealth while you're in Washington. When you go in and you serve for 20 years or 30 years or even longer. Are you supportive, having been there and seen how the process works, of the idea of limiting the amount of time an individual can serve in Congress?
Well, there were certain times during my 10 years I wish I had been automatically term limited. It was, yeah, boy, I can go home. I got over the glamour of the job about the second time I got on the plane and left my family behind in Mississippi. It's not an easy job. I will say I've been out, 7.5 years, so I haven't had a death threat in 7.5 years. So that's been a good thing. That's a positive. But it's a tough job. No kidding. And I've been social media sober for 7.5 years, so I've enjoyed that. But it's a tough job, Richard. And, look, a lot of people really appreciated the fact that I served 10 years and went home voluntarily. But that wasn't a self-imposed term limit deal. I think it sounds great. But I will say that term limits, as a constitutionalist, if you go look at the Federalist Papers and some of the writings, of that are there for, Madison, it doesn't spell out any term limits for that. But I think it's sort of understood that, hey, you serve for a season. It's an incredible sacrifice. And then you'll know, look, the voters are smart enough. I told somebody that I thought I should leave while the voters still might have voted for me. So, there are, our people are smart enough to know. And if you do an arbitrary term limit, then you're missing out on some of that. And so, no, I'm a supporter of the voters knowing what to do when it's time. And so either the elected officials should know, or the voters will figure it out and say, hey, it's time for a change. And so, but look, I'm telling you that members of Congress have not had a pay raise in 17 years. And so my calculation when I left was someone said that after 10 years, I was making 11% per year less than when I started, based upon inflation. So, maybe there's some under old rules were there. And, somebody, I'll tell you, I was said, the Tuesday business and lunch at First Baptist Jackson in my second term. So I think I was in my third year, and I walked up to speak to some friends, and I could tell one of them at the table, Richard, was just not glad to see me. And I said, how you doing? And so I'm not good. It's not right. You ought to do something about it. I said, what's not right? He said, it's not fair that you can serve one term in Congress and get your full pay for life after that. And I looked at him and said, sir, if that was true, you think I'd have run for a second term? And he just kind of looked at me and he said, guess you can't believe everything you read on the internet. So those people that you think are getting rich are getting 1.7% per year on retirement. Doesn't sound like a get-rich scheme to me. Now, most of the members do it right. Somebody could be doing it. There's some that maybe there's some stuff going on, but that's not the rank and file member.
Well, I think you've kind of ratted yourself out as somebody who wasn't willing to reach across the aisle. I mean, if you had been willing to reach across and learn from Speaker Pelosi, then you too might not have to work today.
Well, I tried to learn from Hillary Clinton. What was it, pork belly futures years ago? I mean, there were all kinds of techniques that I wasn't running in the right circle, Richard. Yeah. Well, maybe if you had been a little more willing to reach out and a little more open to some other ideas. We don't really have time to dive into the socialism conversation. Suffice it to say, there's got to be a pretty significant level of concern about the fact that there are a lot of people that are voting, American citizens that are voting for people who are openly socialists in the United States. And I have trouble wrapping my mind around that. We've only got about 30 seconds left. Yeah. Well, look, we failed to educate our young people. We've allowed basically a lot of liberal, sometimes socialist, communist professors to indoctrinate our kids. We've got to teach them the great things in our country. And, we've got great parts of that all over to tell the story. And we were in D.C., for the Capitol Fourth, and look at Trump's approval ratings going up. So there is a push for the patriotism. There's a great Revolutionary War hero who was responsible for the phrase "live free or die." Well, there's a city named after him up in northeast Mississippi called Starkville. So General John Stark, a Revolutionary War hero, live free or die, New Hampshire. So we've got so many that we need to be teaching our kids that incredible history in our country, and it'll make you proud. Go see Young Washington at the movie theater too. It'll make you pretty happy.
The reviews of that have been outstanding. Former Congressman Gregg Harper, thanks as always for your time.
Great to be with you, Richard. Have a great one. Thank you.
Good morning from the Venable Glass.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America. How are you?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
He said, son, I know at your age, seems like this whole world is turning slow. And you think you'll find the answer to it all where corn don't grow. Hard times are real, there's dusty fields no matter where you go.
Good to be with you this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Pleasure to be with you. I didn't take Gregg Harper saying that congressional leaders or members of Congress have not had a salary raise in 18 years, a pay raise in 18 years, as complaining about the salary that he received while serving. Annual salary since 2009 for the U.S. House of Representatives, $174,000. The Speaker of the House makes $223,500. The House majority and minority leaders make $193,400. By any standard, that is a good living. It's a solid living. But in any job, if you go 2 decades without a pay raise, and the second anybody mentions a pay raise, the reaction from everybody around them is, well, you guys don't do anything anyway. I would imagine that would be at least a little bit disheartening. Sorry, guys, I have no sympathy for Congress members or the former congressman. I don't think he was asking for any sympathy. Another message, they haven't had a pay raise. Let's talk about Pelosi's lack of a pay raise in 18 years. Who is this guy? Spare me. That guy is a former United States congressman. He served the state of Mississippi representing the 3rd District for a decade, from 2009 and through 2018. Nancy Pelosi and her $400 million fortune that has been amassed over 3+ decades of, air quotes, service to the United States is kind of the exception. Lindsey Graham, who just passed away, had one of the lowest net worths of any serving congressional member. Are there perks? Absolutely. Absolutely. And is there money outside of their salary that congressmen have access to? Of course there is. Travel back and forth to their home district and per diems and those things. Yes. But just immediately vilifying all members of Congress simply because they have a $174,000 a year salary is a little short-sighted in my view. Hey, you're more than welcome to disagree with me. That's fine. if you have a congressman, and I think Gregg Harper falls into this category, that did not use a decade of service time to enrich themselves to an obscene level or to any level, then it's almost like, instead of vilifying him when he makes reference to the fact that there hasn't been a salary increase for congressional House members in 18 years, it's almost worth a pat on the back as opposed to immediately throwing stones. I can't believe he mentioned. I spent some time around Congressman Harper, and he's a good man. I think he served honorably the state of Mississippi and was honored that fellow Mississippians were willing to send him to Washington, D.C. to represent them for a decade, and then chose to step down on his own accord. C-Spire text line. Then why not beat the drum for insider trading reform? There are a lot in Washington that have. Doesn't have enough support, though, to get through. Being paid $178,000 a year is not a sacrifice. Don't believe I ever said it was. Spending half the year away from your family is a sacrifice. The grind of traveling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth is a sacrifice. Oh, somebody said that he said, I'm sorry, if you don't see serving in the House of Representatives, whether we're talking about at the state level or the federal level as a sacrifice, then I'm not even sure what we're talking about. Yes, there is a good salary with it. That does not mean there is no sacrifice that is tied to that. All right. We're going to have some fun coming up next. Marty Stuart will join us, one of Mississippi's great musicians. We're back with you after this.
Good morning. Good morning to you there.
Okay, up and at 'em. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Way back in the beginning on the local radio, heard myself singing on a television show.
Once again, good morning. Welcome back in Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Glad to be with you and glad to welcome in my next guest. 5 Grammy Awards, a member of the Grand Ole Opry and the Country Music Hall of Fame, the one and only, a great Mississippian, Marty Stuart. Marty, good morning.
Get out of here, Richard Cross. What are you doing?
How are you, my friend? It's great to see you today.
I'm good. Good to see you too, sir.
On the road, no work for the weary, right? Is it tonight or tomorrow that you're headed back out for another tour or event?
We leave. I kind of tour perpetually. We come home long enough to wash clothes and go again. But tonight is back on the bus. We're going to Kentucky and Ohio, and then I think Canada is next week, something like that.
You still enjoy the touring piece of it?
I love it. I love this part of it. I love getting with the. I love getting with the band, and when the music is right, there's nothing like it. And the Fabulous Superlatives are absolutely the band of a lifetime. We still have fun and cut up like we're kids, and it's like Willie Nelson said, it's kept me out of work my whole life, so I love getting on stage and playing music.
Well, I'm not going to try and be better than the words of Willie Nelson, but there's that old cliche that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and it feels like that's something that you have found while also being able to contribute in so many different ways to your home state of Mississippi. I feel like you carry Mississippi with you everywhere you go.
Always have. And most Mississippi people are like that. When you run into somebody out in the world that's from Mississippi, we always find something to talk about, and I find that everybody's kind of a representative But you know what? When I was a kid, falling in love with country music, Merle Haggard was really, really popular. And he had songs like The Fight Inside of Me, Okie from Muskogee. And when I didn't think he could get any hotter, any bigger than he was, I thought, what's he going to do next? He put out a record that was a tribute to Jimmy Rogers, his hero. And then he did the same thing for Bob Wills. I went, oh, this is how you can do it. He used his fame so wisely to shine the light on something that was important. And I remembered that. And I've lived that way, hopefully, under his inspiration. Everything that I've ever done in my life creatively came from Mississippi, and I always thought it should go back home to Mississippi. And so it gave me a bullseye down through the years.
I'm curious, when I think about the evolution of country music, from kind of the old Western style country music in the 30s, 40s, maybe even into the 50s, you get into the outlaw country time with Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash, and I guess the early days of Willie Nelson and some of the all-time greats. A little bit of a transition in the 80s and late 80s into the 90s. You get into this, what people now call 90s country, which was a little bit different style, but I feel like everybody knows every word to every country music song that was recorded in the 1990s. And then into what we've got now, which is this mix of so many different styles. What do you think about country music as it exists today, and kind of the journey that it has traveled?
Well, it's founded on an incredible root system. And the thing that I see in country music now, it's by design, there is something for everybody. From stadium acts that kind of, are a reflection of AI kind of music to me, all the way down through the roots angle, the roots level, to bluegrass bands and folk bands and country gospel bands. There seems to be a healthier dose and variety of country music now than there ever has been. And, a long time ago, nobody would have filled up a stadium to see Billy Strings play or Sierra Farrell. But that's happening now, and they're doing it by playing hardcore, authentic roots country music. And at the same time, you can go see Morgan Wallen and, that Eric Church and that end of things. So there's a variety there that's never been before. I think that is successful at the box office, and that's what keeps it. It's like Chet Atkins said one time, what is the Nashville sound? He stuck his hand in his pocket and wiggled the change. He went, that's the Nashville sound. So
that's good.
Whatever wiggles the box office. But there has to be a place that it all comes back home, and that's what has been designed in Philadelphia, Mississippi, in the Congress of Country Music. When that place comes to life, it has broad shoulders, but it absolutely is rooted in the Old Testament land of the father of country music, from Jimmy Rogers out. So I'm proud of what we're doing in Philadelphia.
Well, give me an update on the Congress of Country Music. The Ellis Theater is there. I did have somebody that asked me on the C Spire text line, will you please ask Marty who the Ellis Theater is named after?
The Ellis Theater was a local person, and I don't know the first name of Mr. Ellis, but it was a local family. And if you and me would ride up to Philadelphia this morning, they would probably tell us to get out of the way because dust is flying, and the theater's up and running and going into its 5th season. But as far as the educational space and the museum space, I think the grand opening is fall of 27, so it's happening. It is happening. It's moving.
What are people going to see when they visit Marty Stuart's Congress of Country Music?
Well, if you want to see a live show, chances are somebody will be performing at the Ellis that's world class. But as you walk into the museum space, you'll see artifacts all the way from Eric Church, contemporary artifacts, to Hank Williams, to Johnny Cash, to Dolly Parton, to my life, Connie Smith, George Jones, Tammy Wynette, Merle Haggard. I mean, these are Smithsonian level treasures that will be resting in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
First time you stepped on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry, what was the feeling? The high church of country music.
Man, I was standing in front. My nose was almost on the curtain, and when the curtain came up, there it was. I couldn't tell you what happened in an algebra book or an English book in the ninth grade, but I could tell you everybody that ever played on that stage, and there it was. And the best part of the story was Lester Flatt. I was there as a guest with his band. I was 13 years old, wow. And he put me on. He put me up there to sing a song with my buddy Roland White, who was in his band. And at the end of the song, the crowd just kept going crazy. I mean, they just were just nuts. And I thought I had done something wrong. And I looked at Lester and said, "What do I do?" He went, "Do it again."
That's good.
So that was the first time I played the Opry. And what I really hoped, because I knew that my mom and my dad and some friends down in Mississippi were listening, that everybody was getting to hear it. But, as you know, the Grand Ole Opry was and is a way of life to folks in the South and around the world. But it was just part of the atmosphere at our house. So to be a part of that was pretty astounding.
There really is something that is, and look, I'm saying this without ever having stepped foot on that stage, but there's something that's unique and special. It's not a huge space, but that room feels big with those church pews full and the balcony. Feeling like people are right on top of you and the acoustics are just right in there. Does it have a special feeling beyond the history in terms of actually playing there?
Oh, absolutely. I think what you step into is the feeling of legacy. And it's that old building after us has seen it all. It's heard it all. And they call it that circle that you stand in. Everything that is important in country music, or everybody it's ever notable or meaningful has stood in that circle. So that's what you walk into.
The Ellis Theater is where you will be on August 9th. Still a thrill for you to play for kind of a hometown crowd?
Oh, it's the home base of me and the Fabulous Superlatives. We've already played there once this year. And Arden Barnett asked me to come back. We've been touring some with a girl named Molly Tuttle. Have you heard Molly Tuttle?
I have not.
Richard, check her out. She's one of the greatest guitar players of our time. So, Molly, Mollytuttle. Check out Molly Tuttle. We've been doing some concerts with Molly, acoustic shows, and I didn't want it to quit. So before the tour was out, Arden wanted us to come and play a night at the Ellis. So Molly Tuttle is going to be with us that night. It's awesome. She's awesome. Must see her. She's a must-see act.
August 9th. It's in Philadelphia at the Ellis Theater. Tickets are still available for that. Marty, you got time to hang with me for a few more minutes?
Of course.
Outstanding. We're going to see if we can get into the story bank on the other side of this break with the great Marty Stuart, the Country Music Hall of Famer, member of the Grand Ole Opry, 5-time Grammy winner. We're back with you right after this. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Wake up! Rise and shine!
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Nice early morning surprise.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Back with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. A treat for you this morning. Marty Stuart, my guest, singer, songwriter, musician, country music Hall of Famer, and a great Mississippian. Marty, if I told you health is still going to be good, but you have one last show, and you can pick any stage in the world, any venue in the world to play it, that last show in, where would you pick?
Honestly, I think I would choose the Ryman Auditorium because it was the first place I played in Nashville on the national stage. I think it would be a full circle moment to play it out at the Ryman.
I love that. And I guess maybe I was conflating the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman when I was talking about that. I think I was envisioning the Ryman when we were talking a few minutes ago, even though I said the Grand Ole Opry, which I know has kind of gone back and forth through the years. But that Ryman Auditorium in the heart of downtown with that room is just incredible.
Well, that's still the Opry to me. I know I still call it the new Opry House. It's been up there for 50 years, but the Ryman was going to get torn down. They were going to tear the Ryman down when they moved from downtown out to the edge of town and formed Opryland. They built a new Grand Ole Opry House, and honestly, they were selling tours in there for $2 a piece, and pigeons were flying around in the room. And I heard they were going to tear it down, so I went to the CEO at the time named Bud Wendell, and I said, "Bud, this can't happen." And he was the CEO of Gaylord, the company that owns the Opry.
Right.
And he had once upon a time been a manager of the Grand Ole Opry, so I knew he had a heart for Grand Ole Opry stars and the family of the Opry. And I just kept saying, "Bud, we can't tear this down." They were going to tear it down and use the bricks to do a little memorial chapel out in the theme park. And I thought, no. And I called Emmylou Harris, and Emmylou and I got on the bandwagon, and I think we got in Bud's ear, and I don't know what he did, but he went behind the curtain. And when he came out, the Ryman was saved, and I got to cut the ribbon on the grand opening of the Ryman. So that old place means a lot to me.
My wife and a year ago took our daughter for her 15th birthday to see a show at the Ryman, and to see her eyes get as big as they were and just kind of taking it all in, it's like that's what a show is supposed to feel like. It's really, really special.
Well, you know what? There are places, you mentioned a minute ago, there are places like Carnegie Hall is one of those places, the Hollywood Bowl, the Ryman Auditorium. There, keep going. There's places out there that any performer, that you do a little better in those places because you're plugging into so much history and so much creative energy that just kind of exists on the walls there.
Is there a venue that you have not played that you really want the opportunity to before you hang up the guitar?
Carnegie Hall. I've never played Carnegie Hall. I always thought that would be a cool place to play. I did, and I'm another form of places are recording studios. I've recorded at Sun Studios. I've recorded at Capitol in Hollywood. Last fall, the Grand Ole Opry was 100 years old last year. We took the show to Royal Albert Hall, and the rehearsals for the show was at Abbey Road, where the Beatles did all their work. And I walked into that studio like, I don't care. Boy, this happened here, but I am in the right place on planet Earth today. It was one of the most exhilarating creative experiences of my life to be in that room. Not because the Beatles had recorded there. And right across the hall is the stage where they do the James Bond themes and, the London Philharmonic plays. But Abbey Road is one of those places. It's like Sun Studios in Memphis. You walk in there and went, I cannot believe I'm standing here. It's really special.
Marty, I've tried to pretend like 2020 didn't exist, that year that turned into such a crazy thing. I saw that in August of 2020, you were scheduled to play Red Rocks with Steve Miller Band. Have you been to a show at Red Rocks, and how disappointing or frustrating was it to not play that venue?
I've played Red Rocks, and it's pretty magical. It's
okay.
Out in the middle of the atmosphere in Colorado. I mean, it's a magical place. And we were doing several shows with Steve Miller at the time, and it would have been a fun night to go. But I bet we'll go back at some time and grab that show again. But I was sorry to miss that one.
I've gotten a bunch of messages asking me to ask you about Connie, and what is it, behind every great man is an even better woman, I think is the way the saying goes. How's Connie doing?
She is right in there. I just saw her walk by with a cup of coffee. She is great. She sang at the Grand Ole Opry twice last week, and I think she's there again Friday night. So every now and then I hear her singing at the other end of the house. I go, that's really good.
You might have a future in that if you keep it up a little bit.
My baby is singing really good. Yeah.
That's great. What about the band as it exists right now? The Superlatives are such a part of what you do, and that act together on stage. Tell me about those guys.
Richard, it's honest to goodness, it's a once in a lifetime band. Kenny Vaughn plays the guitar, Harry Stinson on the drums, Chris Scruggs plays the bass. I'll say this, it's a little bit, but I'll say this. I think there are bands, whether it was the Beatles or the Rolling Stones or Merle Haggard or Johnny Cash or whoever, pick your band that when 20 years after you saw them, you say, I got to see those guys play one time. And it's something I've carried with me ever since. That's the way I think it is with the Fabulous Superlatives. It's the way I feel when I walk off stage every night. It's like, man, that's good. And I'm glad to be a part of this. We've never had one argument since we've been in business for almost 25 years. It's all about the music and having fun. If it ain't fun, we don't do it. If we don't believe in it, we don't go. And it's about trying to do the right thing and being good musical citizens.
Well, you certainly are that. Reminder, if you missed it earlier, August 9th, Marty Stuart and the Fabulous Superlatives at the Ellis in Philadelphia. Tickets are still available for that event. Hey, tell me about collaborations. Whether we're talking about Travis Tritt or Marcus King or anybody in between, working with other music talents. How do you set ego aside and just go make great music?
I love collaborating. I love collaborating if it's the right pairing. Molly Tuttle. I'll go back to Molly Tuttle. I never played with Molly, but I sensed that the Superlatives and Molly Tuttle would be a box of dynamite that was really good. But I think the first and foremost rule, you have to check it all at the door and leave it on the music. If you leave it to what's right about the music, all that other mess fades away, and usually something good comes out of it. But I look down through the years at all the collaborations I've done, and man, there's been some astounding ones I really, really am proud of.
Is there anybody that you hear that's kind of a today act, a relatively new act within country music, that where you hear them and you go, we're still going to be talking about them 30 or 40 years from now?
I think Lucas Nelson. Have you heard of Lucas, Willie's son?
I have not, but I'm making a list of the stuff that I need to listen to when you and I are done.
Check out Lucas Nelson and Sierra Farrell. If you haven't heard Sierra Farrell, she's one of those people you go, oh my God, we're going to contend with her for the rest of her life. My favorite of them all is Chris Scruggs in my band of the Scruggs family. Ben Scruggs is his 12-year-old son, and Ben played the Grand Ole Opry with us earlier last year, and he wrecked the room, and he played in the stadium in Memphis with us last summer, and he wrecked the room. He is hell on wheels and so good. It's like, here comes another one. If he makes it to the 9th grade, Chris will be lucky because he's born to be on a bus or an airplane playing the guitar.
That's incredible. Was that another one of those full circle moments for you when you think about playing that stage at 13 and now you get to see a kid doing it at 12?
Absolutely. I know the look. I know the look in any kid's eye, and it is always, Connie and I have lived, we love seeing young people come through that are absolutely on fire and they just need a place to get started. And that, back to the Ellis Theater, that is so much of what the Congressman of Country Music and is about, giving young people a place to find their voice and legends a place to tell their stories.
Lexington, Kentucky tomorrow night, Ohio after that, then a trip to Canada, and then back home to Philadelphia August 9th at the Ellis Theater. Marty Stuart and the Fabulous Superlatives. Marty, you are fabulous, and I appreciate your time this morning. So great catching up.
You too, Richard. See you soon, pal.
Look forward to it. That's the great Marty Stuart, member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, 5-time Grammy winner. Part of the Grand Ole Opry, member of the Grand Ole Opry. and one of Mississippi's absolute treasures. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. We'll get back to it. Half an hour left with you right after this.
From the Seabrook
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross.
Now that's entertainment. I don't know about that accent, son. Just where did you come from? I said where I come from. It's cornbread and chicken where I come from. A lot of front porch sitting where I come from. Trying to make a living and working hard to get to heaven where I come from.
One more day. Or one day more, as they said in Les Mis. The 14th annual Palmer Home for Children Radiothon is tomorrow, right here on Super Talk, Mississippi. Every year, children across Mississippi find themselves in places where they need a loving home, coming from unimaginable circumstances. And that's where Palmer Home comes in, and that's why we need your help. You, tomorrow, will learn how Palmer Home for Children serves vulnerable children. A faith-based organization that takes no government money, and so we need your help. We need your donations. We need your commitments tomorrow to help the work at Palmer Home for Children continue. Join us. It is, once again, the 14th annual Palmer Home Radiothon right here on Super Talk, Mississippi. It happens tomorrow starting at 6 a.m. Looking forward to being there for that. Lance and I will be with you for the first 4 hours of the day. We'll start at 6 and we'll go to until 10 tomorrow. Did you know that?
No, whatever y'all want to do, man.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
in, you know.
Yeah,
this
we got
is an amazing event. So.
Little bonus hour tomorrow.
Yeah, good.
And then I am coming back and hanging with Borky and Haydad for the last hour tomorrow from 5 until 6. Not that they are not supremely capable, but I think there is a matter of a wager of some sort that has to be paid off. Haydad and I for several years have had this season-long running competition between Ole Miss and Mississippi State where wins have a point value. It is abundantly clear that the point value assigned to football is not large enough. But I finished in second place in our two-man race this year. And so there is some payoff punishment that awaits me.
Sounds like a multi-layer marketing scheme to me. You know, this the point tally and all this. It's like you're getting a watch.
It's like football's worth 5, and then I don't. Lance, suffice it to say, I don't even know what the terms of the bet were. But Brian Haydad keeps up with it like it is, you know, the hidden Da Vinci Code, and tabulates it and keeps me updated. And so he either could pull one over on me and I'd have no idea, or but I think he's gracious and not well. I do.
Haydad's gracious to you. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know that he's going to be tomorrow.
If he wins, huh? What are the terms? You got to wear Mississippi State stuff.
It's
Isn't that
been
what
different
it is?
stuff. There was one year where there were 3 different Mississippi State jerseys that I wore. A football jersey, a basketball jersey, a baseball jersey during each hour of the show on Palmer Home Day.
I think y'all need to put the little cheerleader stickers under your eyes, you know.
Yeah,
Should be one of the if you lose, you got to wear Mississippi State cheerleader stickers under your eyes for a whole broadcast or a week or something.
The last couple of years, I have come out on the winning end of this proposition, and Haydad had to squeeze into an Ole Miss football jersey a couple of years ago, and he told
made
me
him wear red, right?
He's like, look. He's like, I'll do whatever I got to do, but could you get that was so uncomfortable. Yeah. I was like, sorry, man. Imagine having to wear shoulder pads underneath that thing.
Yeah, they're quenchers, man.
And then last year, if I remember correctly, Haydad became a member of the Grove Collective. Yeah. He became a financial supporter of Ole Miss athletics. And, Haydad is nothing if not unoriginal. Like, he can't come up with his own ideas. And so he's had like a GoFundMe campaign where half the money raised was going to the Palmer home and the other half was going to Mississippi State's collective.
You ought to make him buy one of those brick pavers, for the Walk of Champions.
Oh.
See? If you need some creativity, I'm
That's like the gift that keeps on giving the whole year long, Clark.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So did he have to wear a red? Because I know he loves red so much. Was that the color jersey you had to get him to slide into, or was this? Did you make him do the powder blue to be, nice and all? Because he has an allergy to red.
I
know
it was red.
Yeah.
I think.
Good. That was
I
enough.
think he's as distrustful of powder blue as he is red.
Yeah.
But none of that matters because he didn't lose this year. I did.
Yeah. Well, it happens to the best of us.
Hey, I wonder if I reached out to Keith Carter, if he would loan me the Sugar Bowl trophy.
Ooh.
And maybe the Egg Bowl trophy, too.
Indemnification there. You better be current on your insurance.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking, like if I brought those trophies along and whatever the payoff for the bet was, I just sat there. Was there a college football playoff participation trophy that went like?
Yeah,
it would just make me feel better surrounded by all of those trophies. Mm-hmm. And maybe if I could get a picture of the Ole Miss baseball team at the College World Series this year.
Just rub it in a little.
Well, I mean, obviously, Haydad won the bet. Yeah. Hey, he shouldn't have any issue with Ole Miss getting to the semifinals of the college football playoff, or
because he capitalized
Ole Miss
off
going
of
to
it.
the college.
He's monetizing their success.
Yeah. Ole Miss in the College World Series. Were they predicted to end up there this year?
Ole Miss? I don't think so.
I don't think they
middle
were.
Of the pack, SEC.
Was there a team from Mississippi that was predicted to end up in the College World?
I think they were one of the dogs.
I don't know what happened. Don't know. Sure. Anyway, all in good fun, and Palmer home going to be a whole lot of Jerry and Pontotoc. Get a picture of State beating Ole Miss 4 times in baseball. Man, Jerry, I never saw that one coming. We'll put it right next to the picture of Omaha. What do you say?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Jerry, I'll make a deal with you. Tell me if you're open to this deal. For the next 10 years, a full decade, I will trade you 4 regular season wins for Mississippi State over Ole Miss for a trip to the College World Series. You get your 4 regular season wins every single time they play in the regular season for the next decade. And I'll go to the College World Series 10 times.
Yeah, I'm taking that as well, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, punt on the regular season.
But congrats on those, Jerry. Congrats. I had so much fun with Marty Stuart, I'm avoiding going back to, Sirius.
How cool is he? I mean, if y'all haven't heard some of the newer things that they're doing with the superlatives, it is phenomenal. I was joking with him in the break and told him, next time you see Richard, tell him that Slim Whitman, Indian Love Call, is actually a great song, because a lot of the things that they're doing is taking old country and kind of that sound and that unique, tone and blending it in with more modern, and it's really phenomenal. I mean, Surfing Cowboy is excellent. Yeah. I mean, really, you just got to go listen to some of their stuff, and a lot of it's instrumental too, which allows you to hear. Golly, it's so good.
He wasn't lying about Molly Tuttle.
Oh, yeah.
Whew.
I know who she is. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely play it.
I pulled up some of her stuff during the break and was listening, and I mean, she is good. Great voice, but just a wizardress. A female wizard with a wizardress?
Yeah, I guess.
Or can you just have a female wizard?
Is that in Lord of the Rings? Are there female wizards?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying she's great on the guitar. I was trying to give her as much credit as I could possibly give, and Gemini which is the Google AI tool, calls her virtuosic.
Yeah, I just know she's awesome. Yeah, there are some really amazing female guitarists that have been coming up. Samantha Fish is another one, plays more on the rock side and blues, but wow. I mean, absolutely can tear it up. Molly Tuttle's amazing. And you'll see, Arden Barnett here with Ardenland does so many great events, too, and I'm glad that Mr. Marty mentioned him because some of the stuff he's doing on the smaller side, very intimate, very cool, and most of the time you don't know who these folks are, but when they come through and you hear them, like, oh, thank you for bringing them through. It's kind of like Marty talking about Molly. You got to tune in because there's some great musicians out there coming up.
Jason in Starkville said a female wizard is called a witch.
Oh, I wanted to say that, but I didn't know if that was accurate or not. It's like, I think that's a witch, but...
a message here, Molly and Tommy Emmanuel can wear it
Tommy
out.
Emmanuel is amazing. Goodness gracious.
I've got a message that said I was at Marty's first concert, First Methodist Church, Philadelphia, at a Cub Scout meeting.
How cool is that?
Joey says, my nephew played at the Grand Ole Opry twice this year. Colin Style said it's always awesome place for someone to stand.
Isn't it Colin Stout? I think there was a spell check there.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
So there were so many artists that played there. Gary and Tishomingo, I've been a musician for several years. I have to say that the Superlatives are one of the most talented, tightest bands I've ever heard.
I can't disagree with that.
Well, Congress is toying with a time zone change or a time change. We'll check on that next.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
It's time to switch on. Mornings with Richard Cross. On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Yeah!
We chased Lady Luck till we finally struck Bonanza. With a gun and a rope and a hat full of hope, we planted our family tree. We got a hold of a pot full of gold Bonanza. With a horse and a saddle and a ring full of cattle, how rich can a fella be? On this land we put our brand, our pride is the name. Fortune smiled the day we filed the Ponderosa claim.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to talk, right?
I love this song.
Bonanza. SEC Media Days is the unofficial start to the college football season, and Sports Talk Mississippi will be live in Tampa starting on Monday to get you ready for the biggest event of the offseason. That's right, it's SEC Media Days. Our coverage is brought to you in part by Pearl River Resort, Cannon Motors, Mississippi Farm Bureau, and Trustmark Bank. That is coming up next week from Tampa, Florida. Alongside Lance Talbert, I'm Richard Cross. One last time with you. I hope you will forgive me. I had a note in the last segment to talk about the United States reimposing its blockade on Iran after Tehran's attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. But after that fun conversation with Marty Stuart, I just didn't have it in me. We'll get there sometime.
I imagine it will still be there.
Seems like it's not going away. What about this, though? If the United States House of Representatives has its way, there will be no more springing forward and falling back. There will be no more turning back the clock. The House yesterday passed a bill that would make daylight saving time permanent.
It's permanent. Hurts you permanent, Rock.
Proponents, including the White House, argued that the change would provide more daylight during the times that Americans are most active. The vote in the House of Representatives was 308 to 117. Daylight savings time, or daylight saving time, is that period we know between spring and fall when clocks in most parts of the United States are set 1 hour ahead of standard time. Republican Representative Gus Bilirakis from Florida said Americans are ready to ditch the switch, saying that changing the clock twice a year creates unnecessary disruption. Said it would give families more daylight time in the evening to spend outdoors and to support local businesses. In my home state of Florida, where tourism is a cornerstone of our economy, having more predictable daylight hours is a practical improvement that benefits workers, businesses, and visitors alike. However, the Senate must also vote to approve this. And the Senate has detractors. Notably, Republican Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas. He is opposing the permanent daylight saving time bill, and he is not alone. Who else? Senator Cotton has the same concerns he's had for years about this proposal, a source said, but he's far from alone. Senators Thune, Wicker, Fisher, Moran, Sullivan, Budd, Sheehy, Klobuchar, Peters, Duckworth, Rosen, and Blunt Rochester all voted against making daylight saving time permanent in the Senate Commerce Committee. The problem is the late sunrises. Senator Tom Cotton, representing the state of Arkansas, where in northwest Arkansas and Bentonville, Fayetteville, Rogers, that area, sunrise in early January would not happen until 8:30 a.m. In South Bend, Indiana, home of the University of Notre Dame, sunrise on the shortest day of the year would not happen until 9:14 a.m. In Jackson, Wyoming, right there in the Teton Mountains, it would be 8:57 a.m. Kalispell, Montana, the northwest corner of the state of Montana, it would be almost 9:30 a.m. before the sun comes up. Caldwell, Idaho, 9:21. And in Anchorage, Alaska, on what, January 20th-ish, it would be 11:13 a.m. before the sun rose. Here in Mississippi, on the shortest day of the year in terms of daylight, it would be about 8 a.m. when the sun came up. And people point to the fact that, well, school bus, more dangerous. Why is it more dangerous driving in the morning than it is driving at night? We drive in the dark all the time. Would you rather have a little extra morning sunshine in the middle of the winter, or have it be daylight until, 5:30, 6 p.m. in the winter at night? I don't know. I vote for more time in the afternoon, but I don't get a vote in the Senate. Fairly bipartisan in the House, which is rare on anything. Thanks for being with us. Special session happening in Jackson. They gavel in at 3 o'clock to talk about the youth courts, hopefully to get that legislation done. We'll be with you from the Palmer home tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. Can't wait for that. We'll talk to you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.